Amid the cries of newborns suffocated by the Nile's waters, the silent hope of a mother defies Egypt's cruelest law. Jochebed, her eyes marked by pain and deep love, steps forward as the unlikely rescuer who will change the destiny of a nation. The Bible in Colors channel invites you to dive into the thrilling story of Moses' mother. Imagine the stifling warmth of Egyptian streets, the adobe walls shaping the horizon of enslaved Hebrews, the invisible tension between humble homes and the orders from the imperial palace. On that remarkable morning, faith refuses to accept the decrees of men. It dares to defy the impossible. Jochebed was not just a mother. In Hebrew culture, she embodied continuity, a living link between past promises and a hidden future carried in the arms of a baby. The ever-watchful Egyptian patrols never slept. Chariot wheels spun endlessly, and the royal decree echoed in every Hebrew home. Every boy must die. Beneath that grey sky, Jochebed prepares a basket of reeds, sealed with tar and pitch, her gaze shifting between life's fragility and the mysterious strength of faith only a mother can bear. This is the beginning of a story that stirs awe and wonder even thousands of years later. Her simple act of placing baby Moses into the Nile, wrapping him in handmade cloths, reveals a dazzling brand of courage. The fear that could paralyze her now asks for silence, but Jochebed dares to whisper a prayer. Every detail takes the audience beside her. The scent of the river, the sound of rushing water, a trembling hand, Miriam's watchful eyes, and little Moses, still vulnerable, cradled not only by the current, but by a mother's inexplicable trust in the God of her ancestors. Bible in Colors proposes a faith experience that breaks barriers. What feelings arise in you as you witness a woman's first steps to risk everything for her family? How many moments of courage, protection, and faith shape our daily choices? Have you ever faced a situation where you needed to surrender what you cherished most and trust in the unseen? This story invites every heart to reflect on who their true heroes are and to realize that acts of courage are born in places of deep adversity. Join us in this video for extraordinary details of Jochebed's journey. Discover the power of faith that withstands the force of Pharaohs, the delicate care of a mother woven from love and fear, and be inspired to face your own challenges, no matter how great they are. Let's build a welcoming community together. Share in the comments. When have you had to trust against all odds? Your story can inspire others to believe as well. Subscribe to Bible in Colors and turn on notifications to dive deeply into narratives that strengthen faith and hope. Don't miss the next block in this special series. Amid the vastness of ancient Egypt, the contrast between the splendor of pharaonic palaces and the hardship of enslaved Hebrews intensified every heartbeat for those who survived by trusting in God. The kingdom bordering the Nile was ruled by pharaohs worshipped as gods, surrounded by golden emblems and towering walls. In this setting of opulence and oppression, Jochebed emerges as a central figure, her daily life marked by deep silence and persistent prayers as the shadow of the royal decree hangs over every Hebrew door. Ask yourself, what was it like to live knowing your child could be taken from your arms? How did that decree impact not only mothers, but the entire community of Israel? Egyptian culture valued imperial strength, the power of Egypt's gods, and a strict division between rulers and ruled. The Hebrew people, meanwhile, cherished memories of promises made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, nurturing hope for liberation. For Jochebed, faith was not just ritual, it was survival, it was resistance. Day after day, she watched the flowing Nile River, whose waters now symbolized both risk and providence. The adobe walls of her home held whispers of fear and courage, and every neighbor shared glances mingled with pain and solidarity. Located in the region of Goshen, Jochebed was part of a tradition of courageous women. Her family consisted of Amram, a devoted and God-fearing husband; Aaron, an eldest son with lively eyes and a restless spirit; Miriam, a watchful adolescent with a determined look and a quick mind; and now the newborn Moses, whose life was threatened by the new decree. The biblical text of Exodus chapters 1 and 2 reveals the backstage of this plot, showing how God's people, even in extreme suffering, found loopholes for hope. The streets of Goshen carried the scent of freshly baked bread, damp earth, and anxious whispers. Women stitched garments quickly. Fathers reinforced the reeds on their rooftops, and children hid in safe corners, escaping Egyptian guards who patrolled relentlessly in search of newborn boys. In Jochebed's heart, questions and silent prayers grew strong. How could she trust when the enemy watched every step? What traditions rescued families from despair? The role of Hebrew mothers facing violence was fundamental. They invented ways to hide, to pray, to protect. They lived with little and risked everything. Under the unforgettable gaze of Ra, the Egyptian sun god, the light of divine promise glimmered in hidden homes. The audience is invited to see Jochebed not as a distant character, but as a real woman. Skin marked by the sun, hands rough from work, eyes fixed on the unseen. Each line of Jewish tradition reinforces eternal values: courage, surrender, faith. Even the meaning of Moses' name, drawn out of the water, anticipates miracles amid tragedy. How have you responded to decrees that threaten your family's future? What traditions and hopes have you inherited that can sustain your journey through adversity? Bible in Colors wants you to find, in every part of this story, inspiration to persevere. It's about more than Jochebed, Aaron, Miriam, and Moses. It's about every family trying to shield their loved ones, even under the rule of contemporary pharaohs. Share with the community. What tradition of faith or hope has your family passed down that sustains you daily? Write in the comments and strengthen the bond between generations of dreamers and resistors. Subscribe to Bible in Colors to keep receiving content that transforms and encourages your faith. The Egyptian sun rises over Goshen, unveiling tense hours in which fear and hope blend into the daily life of the Hebrews. Whispered prayers fill the air, and every family weaves a discreet web of protection, fueled by unwavering faith. Jochebed moves attentively through her adobe home, feels the breath of danger upon her children, and finds comfort in knowing she was born to protect. Aaron, the eldest, already understands the world outside their family walls is hostile. Miriam, curious and watchful, learns to spot footsteps on the street. And Moses, wrapped in linen blankets, is still oblivious to the threat looming over his life. The house pulses with life and apprehension. The royal decree echoes, Hebrew boys must be killed at birth. Amram and Jochebed whisper quietly at night, reciting the oral traditions of faith, recalling God's promises to their ancestors. Time drags slowly, each beat of a mother's heart like the ticking of a clock waiting to explode. Jochebed decides to act. She won't rest before injustice. She gathers resources, neighbors' cloths, reeds carefully collected on the Nile's edge, and pitch to seal the makeshift ark in which Moses will be placed. The plan is simple and risky. Surrender her son to the river, far from executioners, hoping that divine providence leads him to a secure destiny. As she prepares the little basket, Jochebed feels the weight of Aaron's and Miriam's gazes. The moment is both a silent farewell and a passing on of values: courage, trust in the unseen, respect for the mystery of divine action. Miriam volunteers to keep distant vigil, vowing never to lose sight of Moses. Aaron bears the responsibility of protecting the family alongside his father. In this tense setting, every action bears eternal significance. The day of Moses' birth was celebrated without festivity, cloaked in secrecy. Neighbors understood the risks, but their shared resistance made every glance a pact. Bedding was readied quickly, noises muted by the river's sounds. Biblical details come alive. Jochebed commits her son's survival to the God of the Hebrews, seals the ark, and hands the boy to the current under the morning light. Miriam, hiding among the reeds of the Nile, watches every movement. Her adolescent heart pulses to the rhythm of the waters, anticipating either miracle or tragedy. Guards walk in the distance, but none notice the small basket. Jochebed, from afar, offers her prayers. Each moment is filled with memories of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Hope is her inheritance. The mystery of the future lies hidden beneath the swirling waters. We invite you to dive into the details of this sublime act. The mother who defies human laws, the daughter who watches in faith, and the baby who carries a people's destiny. What would you do when faced with the impossible? Would you have the courage to stand up to unjust rulers to protect those you love? How do you respond to unstoppable threats? Bible in Colors asks you, reconsider your own fears. Learn from Jochebed to trust beyond what your eyes can see. Share in the comments. What was the bravest moment you or your family faced in the face of a threat? Your story can inspire and comfort others going through the same. Subscribe to Bible in Colors and share the channel with friends and family. Together, we strengthen a generation capable of facing the impossible. The moment the basket rests among the Nile's waters marks the beginning of the greatest risk, the deepest surrender, and also the revelation of a divine plan hidden from human eyes. Jochebed's heart beats like the river itself, each pulse filled with childhood memories, ancient promises, and the conviction that no act of salvation is too small when done in faith. Miriam, with sharp eyes and nimble legs, hides nearby to watch over her brother's fate. The wind hushes voices around, as if all creation waits in reverence for something greater to unfold. The basket floats, and the Nile's waters ripple gently around the baby. Pharaoh's daughter's palace rises on the shore, surrounded by lotus flowers and adorned guards, a scene of luxury sharply contrasted with the Hebrews' poverty. At this moment, history is divided. Pharaoh's daughter, a young woman of delicate beauty with fair skin and gold ornaments, walks to the river with her attendants. She notices the basket, and curiosity blends with compassion, beginning a chain of miracles. Moses' cry echoes among the reeds, attracting attention. The boy's destiny crosses with a greater purpose. Miriam, strategically placed, steps forward and offers her own mother, Jochebed, to nurse and care for the child. Thus the mother who risked everything receives Moses back again, reunited under Egyptian protection, watching her son grow with both Hebrew origins and royal shelter. Emotion fills Jochebed's home. Hope returns like the rising sun, and each day with Moses is the result of faith, boldness, and total surrender. Aaron and Miriam feel the impact of grace. Amram notices a new glow in his wife's eyes, confidence restored by nearly impossible events. The household becomes permeated with gratitude, gentle music, whispered conversations about the future. Spiritual traditions strengthen. Prayers are recited from generation to generation. Smiles become treasured. Eyes well up with tears as they realize God even used the Nile's waters to save the chosen one. Jochebed shares details of her journey with friends. Every Hebrew woman understands that courage and faith are silent weapons against oppression. In the palace, Moses grows as the adopted son of the Egyptian princess, among ebony furniture, fragrant gardens, and scholars teaching him Egyptian arts. Yet his heart holds a Hebrew name, the mark of a miracle, and the gentle whisper of his mother's songs from his earliest months among his people. Jochebed visits the palace, feeds Moses, prophesies hope, and quietly teaches the story of her people. The emotional climax sweeps the audience. Each character is pushed to their limits, every decision made under constant pressure and threat. Every act of faith becomes fuel for future miracles. Have you ever had to wait for divine providence when all seemed lost? Do you feel doubts while waiting for God's intervention in your own struggles? Jochebed and Moses' story proves no time is wasted in perseverance and trust. Never underestimate small acts of surrender. They reshape entire destinies. Share your experiences in which God worked during moments of quiet waiting. Join by sharing your doubts, victories, and small miracles. Subscribe to Bible in Colors, invite your family and friends, and bring others for this journey of faith and hope. Moses' fate, protected by a basket woven with hope and faith, opens a new chapter for Jochebed and her family. Time passes in slow, intense movements. Each permitted visit to the palace reveals the boy's growth, now surrounded by refined Egyptian teaching, yet nourished in his Hebrew roots when he is with his true mother. Jochebed seizes every moment to teach her son about the origin of his people, the wondrous deeds of the God of their ancestors, and the meaning behind his name. The stories of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob become the foundation for Moses, weaving truths into his mind that will sustain him as an adult. The bond among Miriam, Aaron, and Moses strengthens with each encounter between Jochebed and the Egyptian presence. Aaron, always curious and restless, learns to look beyond appearances, to question and to seek answers, while Miriam becomes increasingly decisive, protective of her brother, and wise in discerning silences and whispers in the hostile environment of the Hebrew people. Jochebed cherishes each meeting, nourishing not just her son's body, but his spirit, identity, and faith, knowing the greater mission comes from God, transcending threats, geographic limitations, and palace traditions. Time proves God's plan is inexhaustible, and the miracle of Moses' survival fills his home with renewed hope and gratitude. Jochebed and Amram live in the constant tension between fear and spiritual certainty. Each time Moses returns to the safety of his mother's care, new lessons transform their household. Moved by faith, they tell stories of future deliverance, not knowing how or when it will come. The journey of the baby who survived Pharaoh's decree is recalled in every prayer, every family gathering, every nighttime conversation beneath the desert stars. These arcs come to a close, but the grand message remains. No circumstance is final in the face of God's action. The power of maternal love, the strength of faith and courage in fear mark generations and write new chapters for God's people. Jochebed, though never in full control of her children's future, has a decisive influence on history's course, becoming a symbol of surrender, resistance, and hope. Have you realized that often the greatest contributions we make are not seen right away but sprout years later in other hearts and journeys? Have you wondered about the value of daily seeds of faith and courage? Jochebed teaches that silent persistence builds destinies. Whether in daily acts or patient preparation for something greater, your life matters as you trust in divine action. Share in the comments one small act of faith from your family, something that only made sense in hindsight, but now you see as part of God's plan. Invite friends and family to follow the Bible in Colors series and spread hope. Your story matters to us. The story of Jochebed and Moses is more than an ancient tale. It is a living invitation for practical application in our lives today. We live in complex times where intimacy with fear and insecurity often paralyzes us and distances us from hope. Yet, when we see Jochebed placing her son in the Nile, we don't just see farewell. We see an act of trusting the unseen, a faith that transcends borders and human laws. As parents, or even young adults and elders, we are challenged to face the unknown, to confront what we cannot control, but choose our stance in response. The surrender of her son to the current teaches us that we may not always have the power to change immediate circumstances, but we can choose to act with courage and faith. Jochebed did not freeze in fear. Instead, she used wisdom to find a creative, bold way to protect the future. This lesson calls us to reflect. What situations have we left unanswered due to fear? How can we, even in hostile environments, be channels of hope for those around us? In times of pandemic, financial crises, personal conflicts, and social pressures, Jochebed's choice resonates powerfully: resist, protect, and trust. This story also emphasizes the power of community. Moses' protection was not the work of one mother alone, but a network of people. Jochebed, her husband Amram, Miriam, and even Pharaoh's daughter, who acted with compassion, breaking barriers. The invitation to apply this to our reality is clear. No one wins alone, no one thrives in isolation. In family, community, or spiritual circles, mutual care, intercession, and collective action save lives, dreams, and futures. Moreover, Jochebed teaches that faith must be accompanied by action. Waiting on God does not mean inertia. It means preparing, acting strategically, trusting in His timing. Jochebed's courage is a vibrant light for mothers confronting extreme challenges, for young people seeking purpose in an uncertain world, and for any person wanting to nurture hope despite adversity. The story becomes a mirror. Those who have faith transform fear into action, resignation into boldness. And you? Are you facing a Nile today that seems impossible to cross? What practical choices can you make to protect what you treasure most? What simple steps can renew your faith and strengthen your hope? How can you be, amid chaos, someone who risks love so life may flourish? Reflect and share with us. What Nile are you facing, and what act of faith do you want to cultivate? Join the Bible in Colors family, subscribe, and invite your friends to take part in this journey of courage and hope. Click the bell to never miss the next videos that strengthen your walk. When we look at Jochebed, we see a woman who, despite frightening circumstances, chose to dive deep into faith in God. It was not a passive faith, but an active surrender, requiring courage and persistence, a spirituality that does not ignore reality, but transforms it. Today, we are invited to walk this path of deep spirituality, recognizing prayer as a source of strength and comfort even amid life's turbulent waves. Close your eyes and imagine Jochebed in the stillness of dawn, holding her baby's hands, whispering prayers only the heart can translate. She did not know what the future held, but trusted in the God who never abandons. Jochebed's prayer inspires us to cultivate intimate relationships with God, where even in fear we can speak for our lives, our loves, and hidden courage. Prayer is dialogue, opening the soul so the divine may enter, inspire, and strengthen. In this moment of spirituality, I invite you to feel that surrender with Jochebed. Take a deep breath and say your own prayer. Entrust your fears, dreams, and struggles to the loving Father. Let your faith bloom like the waters of the Nile, which do not merely yield to the current, but flow steadfastly toward life. Prayer is also space for thanksgiving, for recognizing God's presence in small and great miracles. Reflect with us. How is your spiritual life? Do you cultivate a daily moment of intimacy with God? What words would you use to ask for courage when fear tightens your chest? The story of Moses' mother invites us to active prayer that transforms the heart and prepares us to act daily with grace and confidence. In this space of prayer, here is a suggestion to pray with us now. Lord, just as Jochebed entrusted my child into your hands, I entrust my life, my children, and my dreams to you. Give me courage to act in faith and peace that only you can give. May I never forget that your plan is greater than my fears. If you felt your heart touched, share your prayers, requests, or testimonies in the comments. Let's grow together, strengthened by prayer, the powerful weapon of faith. Don't forget to subscribe to Bible in Colors and click the bell to never miss our next moments of spiritual connection and learning. The central passage that draws us close to Jochebed's faith and courage is found in Exodus chapter 2, verse 3. And when she could no longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein, and she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. D. This verse carries profound theological richness that deserves our deep attention, as it encapsulates the power of faith-guided action and divine intervention in moments of extreme crisis. When we consider an ark of bulrushes, we see a symbol of apparent fragility. The bulrush, a common and simple plant, contrasts with the grandeur of the mission that this improvised vessel carries. The choice to cover it with slime and pitch reveals human determination to cooperate with divine providence, using rational means, scriptures, and natural resources to ensure protection. The ark thus becomes a temporary, sacred place, a living symbol of salvation amid chaos. In the biblical context, this delivery to the river, commonly understood as the Nile River, signifies a passage. Water is an element of purification and rebirth. The baby is entrusted to the currents, not as abandonment, but as a conscious offering in divine hope. This scene evokes God's protective presence working through natural means, summoning the mystery of his unseen care in all circumstances. Theologically, this verse points to a dynamic tension between human action and divine action. Jochebed sees the threat of death, but chooses to act in faith, using available means. Moses' destiny, however, remains under God's control, even in a hostile environment. This dialogue between action and trust challenges us to reflect. How do we balance our responsibility with spiritual surrender? How can we act wisely while trusting in sovereign God? Its relevance to contemporary audiences is immense. We all face moments when fear limits us, but courage blossoms when we recognize that God is present in the gerund of life, that continuous, patient action despite uncertainty. The verse invites us to notice that even in small bulrush boats, God is ready to manifest his saving power. How does this verse echo in your life? Have you ever found yourself in a situation where the only way out seemed to be to trust and act at the same time? What theological narratives have you lived that need revisiting to grow in faith? It is time to recognize that our challenges are cradles where God promises great deeds. Leave in the comments which part of this passage touches you most deeply and how it can help your faith journey. Join the Bible in Colors community, where together we reflect, learn, and advance in hope that transcends all difficulties. Subscribe and share to keep alive the transformative power of the Word. As we deeply reflect on Jochebed's life, we realize her acts of courage and faith carry vital lessons for all who seek to follow Jesus in daily practice. She shows us that leadership through love and surrender in fear are not incompatible, but complementary. Jochebed acted with wisdom, action, and prayer, the tripod that sustains an authentic Christian life. In her story, we see a woman who not only protected her child, but affirmed the value of human life amid the cruelties of injustice. For our journey, this means taking an active stance amid adversity without losing hope or connection with God. Jochebed invites us to embrace a faith that does not shrink in storms, that does not cower before the pharaohs of our time, whether emotional, financial, family, or social crises. Following Jesus means committing to defend what is right, loving courageously and acting decisively. You who strive to reflect Jesus' footsteps are called to live faith in action. Your surroundings may be hostile, but your heart can remain steadfast. Draw inspiration from Jochebed's courage to protect what God entrusted to you. Family, friends, dreams, gifts. Apparent fragility like the bulrush ark may become the support for the greatest strength when built with love and faith. Furthermore, Jochebed teaches us the importance of community to sustain our walk. We are not called to triumph alone, but in communion. Open your heart to receive help and offer support to those in need, as Miriam and Amram did in that ancient story echoing today. May we practice being a protective, faithful network ready to embrace. With this, I ask you, what concrete actions can you take this week to live a more active faith? Who can you support or protect? How can you turn fear into courage and insecurity into vibrant hope? Reflect and answer honestly. Spiritual growth is a journey of small, often silent, yet powerful steps. We want to hear from you. Share in the comments your acts of faith and challenges in putting them into practice. Join the Bible in Colors community, where we strengthen each other to follow Jesus with courage and love. Subscribe to the channel and be part of this transforming movement. As we close this deep journey through Jochebed's story, Moses' mother, we are invited to look ahead with renewed heart and mind, prepared for the next chapter of this incredible biblical narrative. Soon, we will bring you the thrilling story of Bathsheba, another woman whose courage, challenges, and faith decisively shaped God's people. The connection between these stories is the power of women in spiritual and social leadership, the impact of faith in adversity, and how God uses every character to write his redemptive plan. We want you, who have followed this far, to feel part of the Bible in Colors family, where every story invites you to strengthen faith, build hope, and live love in action. Watch the next video and discover how Bathsheba's journey complements and challenges the humanized legacy of women who, facing the impossible, chose to walk with God. Stay with us and continue this path full of light, learning, and transformation. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and don't miss the continuation of this special series. Share with your friends and family, because this is a unique opportunity to grow together in faith and the power of the Holy Spirit. We want to hear from you. Share your expectations about the upcoming story and what else you would like to see on the channel. Your voice is essential in shaping this community that unites past and present in the living Word.